What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Asante. You are new. Welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite foundations. I know it's hard when you're first starting out to like navigate through like Sephora or maybe even the drugstore to find your foundation. I know it was hard for me. Very, very hard for me, especially since I'm a deeper skin tone. I've got oily skin. So, you know, finding my foundation shade and finding foundation that worked for me and gelled with me was really difficult when I first started wearing makeup. I've learned a lot since then, and I know what works for me and what doesn't. So today I'm just going to be sharing my favorite foundations, and hopefully I can give you guys some tips and tricks and pointers on how to pick out your foundations at the drugstore or at Sephora. Now, side note, I do not have any drugstore foundations to mention in this video. That could be potentially something that I would do in another video, but today I'm strictly talking about like going into Sephora purchasing makeup. Those are the kind of foundations that I have in this video to show you guys, with the exception of two. So if you are interested in this video, keep watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Before we get started, I just wanted to say that I'm not mentioning these foundations in like any particular order. They're just kind of like spread out, so that's just how I'm going to be mentioning them. So it's not going from like my most favorite to like least favorite or anything like that. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify. The first foundations, actually these are two. The first two foundations I'm going to be talking about are the Ordinary Colors foundation. I have the full coverage and I have the serum as well. And in the full coverage I am in 3.2N and stands for neutral, and in the serum I am in 3.2R. Now these foundations retail for $6. And they are always sold out. I have to get on a waiting list for both of these foundations just to purchase them. So yes, they are $6. They are extremely affordable. If you're on a budget, if you're in high school or if you're in college and you don't want to spend like $40 something on a foundation, then I definitely would highly recommend these to you. If you are a like no makeup kind of makeup wearer, you would really enjoy this serum foundation. It is like your skin but better. It gives a nice like dewy type of finish because it has a serum in it. So it's not completely full coverage. If you have like hyperpigmentation or acne scarring or like redness or anything like that, you're probably not going to like this just because it's not full coverage. You will have to keep applying this to get the kind of coverage that you want. And when you like keep applying like more and more layers of foundation, that's where you get into more cakey territory. So this foundation probably wouldn't work for you if you're more of a full coverage girl or if you have things that you would like to cover. Now, the full coverage foundation, it is a full coverage foundation as the name suggests. It does do a good job of covering. I have some acne scarring and it does cover up my acne scarring pretty nicely. I usually do 2 pumps of foundation. With this foundation and with any foundation, I normally do 2 pumps or at least 1.5. But for this, I get 2 full pumps, and you get 1 fluid ounce of this and of this as well. And it's $6 for 1 fluid ounce. So that's pretty good. Now, I wouldn't say that these are travel friendly just because the pumps don't have caps. So, you know, you are kind of like paving the way for spillage if you were to throw this in your travel bag. So I wouldn't recommend traveling with these. I have spilled many of things in my travel bags, and it's just not nice. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend traveling with these specifically because there's no cap for the pumps. But other than that, that's probably the only con to these foundations. The Ordinary does a good job at they have like a shade guide on their website, so they do a good job of trying to match you to like a shade that you've worn before. Like typically MAC foundation guides are like typically the standard. A lot of people will like go in and see if like this will match NW45 or like NC50 or something like that. So yeah, and they come in a variety of different undertones. I'm more of a neutral undertone, so I typically reach for 3.2N in the full coverage. This one is 3.2R and it's a bit too red for me, so I typically reach for more neutral foundations. And this one works just fine for me. They blend out really, really nicely. You can either use this with a sponge or a brush and they look very nice. However, with this serum foundation, you should probably use it with a brush just because it is so light coverage that if you use it with a beauty blender, you're typically like not putting anything on your face at that point, because the Beauty Blender shears down foundation, and this is already pretty sheer. So, you know, you shear this down and you basically shear down into nothing. So I recommend a brush or even your hands with this foundation. These foundations are extremely liquidy. They're very runny. If I were to pump these on the back of my hand, they would run down my hand, much like the Fenty foundation does. And I have that, so I'm going to talk about that as well. But yes, I would highly recommend these foundations to anyone who's on a budget, or if you just want to try them, I would recommend them. The next foundation I'm going to talk about is the Fenty Beauty foundation, and I'm in the shade 440. This is the Pro Filter foundation. This is the one she just came out with. It launched a couple weeks ago, and I got it at around launch time. Now, I tried to go in Sephora and get shade match and all of that, but they were sold out, and I went to 2 Sephoras and they said that they sold out of stock for like the whole entire year, that they weren't going to get anything new in until November. That is how much people ran to go get this stuff. They do restock better online than they do in the actual store, so I suggest that if you want to purchase this, if you haven't purchased it already, you should probably purchase it online. This foundation retails for $34, which is extremely affordable for a Sephora foundation. For a more high-end foundation, it is extremely affordable. And this foundation comes in a whopping 40 different shades. And you get 1.8 fluid ounces of this. This foundation is marketed as a matte foundation. It dries down to a powder finish, and it does exactly that. I am wearing this foundation on my face today. I have oily skin, and I don't typically reach for matte foundations. I know that sounds kind of funny, but I like foundations with a more like skin-like finish as opposed to like flat matte. I don't really reach for a flat matte base just because I like to look more healthy, like glowing from within. So what I do before I apply this foundation is I will apply, I will do my skin prep, and then I will apply MAC strobe cream to my face, and then I will go in and put on this foundation, and it works beautifully with MAC strobe cream. It looks very, very nice. And it still does dry down to a powder finish, but you can still kind of see like some glow coming through with this foundation, I feel like. So I definitely recommend this for my oily skin girls. If you are dry, you're probably not going to like this, and I only say that because it is a matte finish. It dries down to a powder. So if you have dry patches or, you know, anything like that, I feel like this foundation has the potential to cling to dry patches and not look the best. So if you're dry, then you should probably either really go in with your skin prep and your moisturizer, or just skip out on this one. But I really love this foundation, and like I said, I'm not a matte foundation type of girl, but I had to go out and try this one after I saw all the reviews, and it does exactly what it claims to do. It does dry down. I'm not going to say that it oxidizes, because it doesn't like get orange or get red or anything like that. It just dries down to its like, you know, true color. So I originally got shade 450. I got 2 samples of 450 from Sephora, and when I put 450 on, it was like my skin tone. It matched perfectly, but after about 3 minutes, I saw that it had dried down to a bit darker. So because it was darker than my neck, I couldn't wear it. And I would say that 450 would probably maybe be my summer shade, but 440 is my perfect match. When I put it on, it dries down to my skin complexion. So yeah, I really do like this foundation, and I would highly recommend this foundation to anyone in high school or anyone in college, because it's $34, and that is reasonably priced. That is extremely affordable for a foundation like this, and a foundation that's in Sephora. So I would highly recommend this foundation for the price and for the wear. It's amazing. The next foundation I have to talk about is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation, and like the Fenty, this comes in 40 different shades. I'm in the shade R530 or 180. Makeup Forever recently like switched up the way they like name things, so I was in 180, but now that is R530. This is the first foundation that I ever bought when like they had the old formula. Yeah, this is the first foundation that I ever bought from Sephora. When I bought this, I like threw away all my other like drugstore foundations. I had the Maybelline Fit Me, I had the L'Oreal True Match, and I like threw them away as soon as I bought this foundation and never looked back. So yeah, that is how much I love this foundation, and I've repurchased this foundation every year since I bought it. This used to be my all-time favorite foundation, but I feel like Fenty has kind of like taken over this for me because I reach for Fenty almost every day. But before I had Fenty, I used to reach for this every single day. I love this foundation and still do. I would still highly recommend this foundation. Like I said, it comes in 40 shades, so you won't have trouble finding your shade. The only thing that I have to say about Makeup Forever is the undertones could be improved a bit, I would have to say. You know, like Fenty has, you know, the warm, the cool, the neutrals, and all that stuff. Whereas Makeup Forever, when you get to the deeper shades, it runs a little bit more red, and not everyone has a red undertone. So that's my only complaint. But other than that, I don't have anything negative to say about this foundation. This foundation looks amazing in pictures. It is marketed to look good for like flash photography and film and all of that stuff. You get 1.1 fluid ounce of this, and I want to say that this foundation is $42. I'm going to link everything down in the description box below with all the prices and all of that. I'm oily, so foundations tend to, you know, break down on me, and they can oxidize when they mix in with the oils, and they can start to move and shift around on my face. And I don't have a problem with this foundation doing that. I, however, did recommend this foundation to my cousin, and she hated it. She said she was super oily at the end of the day. This foundation, you know, either I guess you're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it, but I typically love this foundation. This foundation is $54 or $56. Like I said, I will leave price points in the description box. And I like this foundation, I really do. It's marketed as pore refining, it's got sunscreen in it, and it is supposed to have shine control. This is a matte foundation. The only problem I have with this foundation is that it is a little red, and I don't have red undertones, so red doesn't necessarily work for me. However, I find ways to make, you know, my red foundations work for me. And I bought this foundation in April of this year, and I actually got this foundation because Jaclyn Hill here on YouTube used this foundation, and Jaclyn Hill lives in Florida, and I wouldn't typically get a foundation based on her because we have two different skin types. But Jaclyn Hill lives in Florida, and anyone who's been to Florida, anyone who lives in Florida knows about, you know, the hot, muggy weather in Florida. And she said that she wore this foundation to Disney World with her family, and at the end of the day, it was still intact, it still looked amazing, and her family kept asking her what she was wearing, and it was this. And ironically enough, I was in Florida when I bought this foundation, and it does last all day. This is a full coverage foundation. It is for, you know, a more beat, snatched face. It is for a more glammed look, definitely. It does last all day. I typically don't use foundations with SPF in them just because you can get flashback, and this has SPF 35 in it. But I didn't take any flash photography with this foundation, so I don't know if I would get flashback or not. But yes, this, like I said, is a full coverage foundation, and it is $54 or $56. Would I recommend that you like have to go out and buy this foundation? No, you don't, because it's $54 or $56. And if you're on a budget, this is not a foundation that you like need in your life. However, I wanted to try it. I wanted to try it out just to see if I would like it, and I do like it. I do not reach for this foundation every day just because of how expensive it was. So, you know, I typically use this on more like glam days, like a date night or something like that. This wouldn't be my like everyday foundation. It just wouldn't, just because I don't want to use all of this up right away. So this would be for like an event. This would be for like a date or something like that. So that's typically when I reach for this foundation, because I know that it's going to look nice. I know that it is going to stay in place, and I know it is going to give me full coverage. The next foundation that I have to talk about is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Foundation Stick. And this is $42, I believe, and I'm in the same shade R530 as I am in the liquid version of this. Now, the stick line of this doesn't have as many shades as the liquid version. I was actually really surprised that they had my shade in this. But I really do like this foundation for every day. This is more of a dewy foundation. This is definitely not matte. It's more of a dewy foundation. It does give you that your skin but better type of look, and it does look amazing in photographs. So yes, I really do enjoy this foundation. I've had this foundation for a really long time, and I've just like started to run out of this foundation. This is a foundation that I would typically reach for on my kind of light makeup days. Because it is a stick foundation, it's really easy to just, you know, take it off, unscrew it, and, you know, put a couple lines on your face, and blend it out and powder and keep it moving. So that's typically what I do with this foundation, because I would say it's medium to buildable. It's not full coverage with just one swipe. You can build it up, but I like the medium coverage of this. I don't mind if I get a few like dark spots peeking through here and there, because I think it just makes your face look a bit more natural. And when I'm going to school, I don't typically need to be like beat to the ground or anything like that. So yes, I prefer this foundation for my everyday type of makeup looks. It's definitely good for that. Like I said though, the shade range is not as extensive as the liquid form though, so that's my only complaint about it. But other than that, I really do enjoy this foundation. The next foundation that I have to talk about is probably one of the most popular foundations here on YouTube. It is the Lancome Teint Idole Ultra 24-Hour Wear Foundation. And you get 1.1 fluid ounce of this, and I want to say this foundation is $42. Everything will be listed in the description box. But yes, this is like one of the most famous foundations here on YouTube. I hear about this foundation all the time, from oily skin people, from people with not oily skin, from people with regular skin to dry skin. I hear about this foundation from everyone, and I had to try this foundation. I'm in the shade 520, and I really do enjoy this foundation. This is a beautiful foundation. This is a full coverage foundation. It does dry down to like a demi matte finish. It's not completely flat, but it is a more mattifying foundation. So because this is full coverage, like I said, I don't typically reach for full coverage every day. I tend to like to look a bit more natural every day. So this is more of a going out foundation for me, or an event. I would wear this or anything like that. This serves the same purpose for me as the Dior Forever foundation, the Dior Skin Forever foundation. They kind of serve dual purposes. They serve the same purpose for me, as far as I would wear this foundation out, because I know how this foundation is going to wear, and I know how it's going to look, and it's going to make me look flawless. So I would typically wear this foundation for an event or something like that. It's always good to have your heavy duty foundations and your more light foundations for your light days, just because you don't use all of your foundations up when you have multiple ones to choose from. That is why I always buy new foundations, because I want multiple foundations to choose from. I just don't want to keep using the same foundation over and over and over and over again, because that's how you use up all your products. So yeah, the Lancome Teint Idole, I would most definitely recommend this foundation to anyone. I do love the coverage, I do love the finish, and this is like one of my go-tos for like events and dates and that type of thing. The foundation I have to talk about is the Hourglass Mineral Veil Vanish Stick Foundation. This foundation is probably one of my favorite foundations, simply because I love how sleek the bottle is, I love how sleek the packaging is, and I love that it is like this triangle shape. Like, you don't really see stick foundations that look like this. I love this. The Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation stick is just a plain old round foundation stick. This foundation stick, you like really get into, you can really get like into like the creases of your under eye and all that stuff. You can really get into places with this foundation. So I really do enjoy the Hourglass foundation. This is a full coverage foundation stick. The Makeup Forever Ultra HD is more medium to buildable. This is a full coverage stick right here. You can build this foundation up and you won't get into cake face territory, and that's what I love about this foundation as well. I would highly recommend this foundation to anyone. The Hourglass Vanish Stick Foundation, and I'm in the shade Chestnut, and I really do love it. The next and last foundation that I'm going to talk about is another bougie product. This is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation, and I'm in the shade 14. However, 14 is a little too dark for me, so I am going to try 13 to see how I like it. Now, this foundation is $64. I know it's bougie, it's Giorgio Armani. I expect nothing less. Given that, it is worth the price point. This foundation is beautiful. It really does give you that like second skin type of glow look to your skin. I absolutely love this foundation. I can't wait to try shade 13 because I feel like I would wear this more if it matched me a little bit better. This is just a tad bit too dark for me, so I don't reach for it as much because it's not my shade match. But if it was, I would wear this foundation all the time. It is beautiful. Now, would I recommend that you go out and buy this if you're on a budget? No, because it's $64. But if you want to treat yourself and you want to splurge, then I would highly recommend the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. Guys, all the foundations that I use kind of like on a consistent basis. But I wanted to talk about like skin prep and all that stuff for foundations. Now, I have oily skin and I used to like just slather my face in mattifying primers. Like I had the Becca Pore Perfecting Primer, I have the Makeup Forever Mattifying Primer, Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer, and those are all marketed as mattifying primers. Now, what I have learned with my skin is the more I try and suppress my oil, the more it just comes through. So I don't reach for my mattifying primers as much. I kind of just focus more on skin prep than anything else to powder to ensure that I get the type of look that I want. So I think skin prep is extremely important before applying your makeup. Before applying base makeup, you have to make sure your skin prep is on point and how it is supposed to be. So I apply oils and eye creams and an all-over face moisturizer to my face before I apply my makeup, and then I go in with my powders and I set everything, and then I have my finishing spray and all of that. So I don't necessarily feel like people need mattifying primers. I just feel like you need to find a routine with your skin that works for you. Now, I'm going to be oily regardless. I've never seen a mattifying primer keep my oils at bay all day. That's never happened. It's never going to happen. I'm going to be oily regardless. I know when I get oily and all that stuff. So I'm not so much worried about the oil as I am worrying about like how my skin looks and how my makeup is applying and all that stuff. Because I can go in and touch up if I need to touch up throughout the day. So that's not a problem for me. I just like to have a flawless base, a flawless looking complexion. That's like my main focus of concern. So I just wanted to like throw that little bit in there before I close out of this video. Made it to the end, bless you. I don't know how long this video is going to be. Although I didn't like babble a lot throughout the video, but who knows. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.